15th pick in the NFL draft.
Hey, make us lunch. We're hungry.
Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So, I'm sure that most of us Eagle fans came out of the game the other night against the Steelers thinking to ourselves, we want to see more Josh Adams. We need to see more Josh Adams because he was fantastic in the little bit of playtime that he got. He had 6 carries, I think, for 30 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry. He was really good in pass protection, and we need to see more of this kid. We need to see him get more snaps, get more time with some of the second string team maybe, and let's see what he can do. I think he looked really good. Now, Pumphrey didn't play. Matt Jones didn't play. Wendell Smallwood pretty much, in my opinion, looked like he looked for the last few years. Fumbled again, and I wasn't impressed. But when Josh Adams came in, he really surprised me. His speed, especially when he gets around that corner and he turns upfield. And his pass protection was really good. And I was very impressed with him, and I'm willing to bet right now that Josh Adams is probably your 4th running back as we speak. And we probably will get to see him play a lot more next week. So far, I've watched this game back 3 times. And you know, it's much different when you go back and watch it than when you're doing a live stream and your initial reactions. You see things that you didn't see. So I want to share some of those things with you. I want to share the good, the bad, and the so-so. And then a few other nuggets of some, guys that people specifically asked me about. So let's start with the good. The first thing is, it is clear to me that this team's strength is the lines, both sides of the line, the offensive line and the defensive line. And it was shown very early on when Fletcher Cox had an early sack and just looked to dominate right off the bat. I think he's going for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to be in that talk all year. I expect big things from Fletcher Cox and that whole defensive line. No doubt about it. Individually, the guy that impressed me the most during this game was the rookie Dallas Goedert. I thought he was very impressive. I thought he showed flashes of a great player. He actually reminded me a lot of back in the day when Deshaun Jackson played his first preseason game. And people came out of it and said, hey, this kid, he's going to be a player. You can just tell. That's how I feel about Dallas Goedert. Now, today, during their public practice, Dallas Goedert did get hurt. I did a video on that earlier, and as of now, which is a few hours later, we have still not seen any information about what happened, what's going on. My theory is this, that they were at the link practicing, that he hurt his arm, he was going back over to the NovaCare and they were getting on the buses or whatever, and he probably precautionary had it wrapped or cast or something before they can do more x-rays or MRI or whatever they're going to do. And then people are saying, oh, it's a broken arm. We don't know yet. We're just going to have to wait and see. It could be good, it could be bad, I don't know, but I'm hoping for the best. But as far as the game goes, Dallas Goedert showed how good he is. Another guy that I was really, really, really impressed with was Shelton Gibson. Not only because of the bomb that he caught, right? That deep route was great. He showed his speed. That's why the Eagles drafted him. But go look at his special teams play. He made 2 nice returns, and I thought Shelton Gibson had his best game as an Eagle. I mean, he didn't do anything last year in the preseason, and I think that he's got a really good shot, if not a lock already, to make this roster. But he was my second star of the game. For the most part, I loved what I saw from Shelton Gibson. Now, at the running back position, I thought it was very apparent that Jay Ajayi looks like he's in tremendous shape. I think he looks faster, quicker through the hole, and you could tell he's thinner. He looks lighter. He looks like he's 15, 20 pounds lighter. I don't know how much lighter he is, but he looked really lean. He looks like he's in really good shape, and he looked good. Then Corey Clement was very impressive also. You can tell that this guy just keeps getting better and better and better, and he's going to take a bigger and bigger role this year. But I thought Corey Clement, excellent. So both those running backs were really good. We talked about Josh Adams at the beginning of this video. I thought he was really good. And the running back situation right now, I'm very happy with, and I was very happy coming out of this game. I don't need to see Sproles in a preseason game, especially week 1, to know what he is. So the running backs, I was very impressed with them. On the defensive side of the ball, I talked about Fletcher Cox and that whole starting defensive line. They were really good from the get-go. But Devontae Bosby really impressed me, except for one play. But I really liked what we saw from him in coverage especially. There was a point where they went to him, I think it might have been almost 3 times in a row, where they threw 2 passes which he almost jumped. One should have been a pick 6, and he broke those plays up. And so Pittsburgh then comes back, and they try to catch him in a double move, and he doesn't bite. He plays it perfectly, and it was just a great play by him. My only issue with him was when he was trying to make a tackle on Ridley, the running back, he just put his shoulder, and it looked like a half effort. And I'm sure the Eagles are going to talk about it with him because it wasn't really a good effort tackling. But other than that, Devontae Bosby lived up to everything we thought or heard about him from OTAs to early in training camp. So I was very impressed with him as well. Sidney Jones, I thought, was pretty good. I thought he didn't really get tested a lot, but he did his job. And then, unfortunately, he got hurt. He did have the one penalty with the new helmet rule, that kind of thing, and he's going to have to figure that out. But overall, I was also very happy with Sidney Jones, even though he wasn't really tested during a game, and then he tweaked his ankle and came out. Now, he was okay because he was practicing, or he's running around during practice today, so it was all's good in that department. As far as my so-so guys, meaning guys that did really good things and then really bad things, there are 2 guys I want to talk about. First is Nate Sudfeld. Sudfeld comes out, he throws an interception early, kind of gathers himself, has a touchdown with Goddard, plays okay, then he has another bad throw that's an interception later on, as well as a couple times he was late on throws. One time it was a screen over to Clement, and Clement wound up having to take a shot because he was late throwing it. But then he did some good things. On the Shelton Gibson touchdown, if you watch, he's looking right at the corner as the corner comes up to try to play press on Shelton. Now, when he snaps the ball, what he does so well is he looks off that receiver, and he doesn't even look at him until he's ready to throw the ball, and then he hits him along on a deep route. It was a great read by Nate Sudfeld. I thought he did some good things. I think he did some bad things. But for a third-string quarterback, it was not a bad day. Not a bad day at all. Now, on the defensive side, I want to talk about Rasul Douglas because he allowed 2 bad touchdowns as far as I'm concerned. The first one to Juju Smith, he kind of fell down in coverage, and Juju Smith looked like he pushed off of him, but just a little bit. It wasn't enough where he should have fell down, but he kind of was playing he looked like he was playing slow at the beginning of, that snap of that play, and then Juju Smith, he's going to score a touchdown. The guy's a great wide receiver. So that was on Rasul Douglas. Then he had an interception, which was really nice. And then there was a play in the red zone. It was like a 3rd down and goal. He made a really nice play in coverage to break up a pass. So it would have been 4th down, but there was a penalty on Josh Sweat. When the penalty occurred, Josh Sweat, Pittsburgh got a 1st down, and they eventually scored, but it wiped away the good work Rasul Douglas did in the red zone there. Then later on, he gets he has a touchdown pass, scored on him. It was a great pass, perfect place, but Rasul Douglas should have been playing deeper, especially when you have the back of the end zone as helping you out. You should be able to take a deeper stance there. So he should have been deeper. That's his mistake. I personally still think Rasul Douglas is a natural safety. I think that's where he plays. I'm going to keep saying it, even though I know the Eagles aren't going to do anything about it. But I thought Rasul Douglas was up and down in tonight's game. So as far as the guys I was not happy with this game, there were 3 guys that I specifically want to talk about. The first is Joe Callahan, the quarterback. I thought he stinks. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he was good. I didn't think he looked good. He looked small. He was running around. He's elusive, yes, but I just felt like we were back to the Matt McStink era. Matt McGloin last year. But I know what he is. He's a camp body, and that's why he's there. So I'm not going to get super worried about him or anything because I know that he ain't going to be on the roster once the season starts. The other guy that I wasn't too happy with was Wendell Smallwood. He had a few okay plays. He did, but he comes out in the second half and he fumbles the ball again. Now, I think the Eagles recovered this, but this tells me he's doing the same things he did, a few years ago. Now, the Eagles apparently like him on special teams, so we'll see. But I wasn't very impressed with him. He doesn't look like he's good at running inside. He doesn't run strong. He goes down easy. not impressed with him. Not when I see him, then Josh Adams comes in and I'm like, wow. So big difference there. I was not happy with him. But he wasn't the guy that I was most disappointed with on that night. The guy that disappointed me the most in the first preseason game didn't even play in the first preseason game. Donnel Pumphrey. Donnel Pumphrey didn't play. He's hurt again. These are the kind of things that we went through last year with him. And to hear all the stuff about how much better he looks, then he doesn't even play, is very upsetting to me. And I don't have the patience for guys to miss entire seasons every year because they're hurt in preseason. If he's not playing, he shouldn't get a roster spot. That's how I feel. So to me, I was very, very disappointed that Donnel Pumphrey didn't play. I'm hoping he'll play in the next game. But to me, that was the most upsetting thing, because at least the guy's out there making mistakes, or at least out there making mistakes. They're playing, they're trying. But he's not even playing. So it's frustrating. And I know you can't help injury. It's the circumstance that frustrates me. So those are the things that really stood out to me in this game. But I do want to speak on some of the individuals, some of the other matchups that were going on, and what I thought. Let's start with Nate Gerry. Nate Gerry, I think it is, not Gerry, but let's talk about him. He was running around all over the field. He was in on some plays, definitely. I thought he did okay. There's one issue that I have with him when I watch him. I just think he's too small for linebacker. I know he's bulked up, but I don't know. He just looked very small to me, too small. He got pushed around way too easy. And that's a concern. But he was out there. He was getting involved in a play. He is fast. He probably pretty good in pass coverage for a linebacker. But in the first game, when you look at him and then you look at Grugier-Hill, who I thought was really pretty good, who was in on the plays, who was in the back of the line of scrimmage a couple times, I thought Grugier-Hill had a way better game than Nate Gerry. And I think he should be leading him if we base it just on, that preseason game. Now, they're not, but I want to see next week. I want to see more from Nate Gerry. But overall, he wasn't on plays. He didn't do that bad of a job. It's just that I'm concerned about his size. Leroy Reynolds was really good, I thought. I thought he played really good. I would like to see him get some more playing time earlier in the game, maybe with second string, and see how he does. But I was very impressed with him. He was all over the place, and he impressed me a lot. Steven Means, once again, he's disruptive. He's disrupted 3 or 4 plays almost in a row. I really love what I see out of Steven Means, and I don't think that you can cut him. I think that if anything, you have to trade him, because he just doesn't get enough time on this defensive line that we have, because we're so good at defensive line. But he would be playing on another team. He would definitely be getting a lot of playing time on any other roster. Steven Means, once again, was very impressive. Josh Sweat, I thought, was a bit up and down. He had some bad plays. I think he had 2 bad penalties that shouldn't happen. But he did play run defense okay. I thought he did a pretty good job. I think, he's a work in progress. You can see he's very talented. You can see he's very athletic. It's going to take some time, but I thought Josh Sweat was okay in his first game. Let's see. Sidney Jones, I talked a little bit about before. I thought Sidney Jones didn't get tested, but in the coverage, what he was playing, he did a good job. He's going to be a stud. Let's face it. Total stud. Now, Isaac Sayamalu, I wasn't too happy with initially because of the snap he had over the quarterback's head. This is a problem that he's had in training camp. But I thought overall he was okay. He was so-so. Matt Pryor, I thought was decent. I thought he was decent. I mean, definitely made some mistakes. Definitely allowed some things to happen. But I thought he was okay. I see why they like him. I see what he brings them. A lot of people ask my opinion on Jordan Mailata. Now, here's the thing with him. This was the first time he was ever in a football game with pads on and playing. This was his first time. This is a guy who's coming that has never played a sport, never put the pads on. He's probably getting an earful from the coaches. He's trying to grasp. He's from, some other part of the world. I mean, things are hard for him right now. And he went out, and I thought he gave it his best effort. He allowed the strip sack on Callahan early in the second half. It was his fault. Callahan didn't help him because Callahan had the guy coming. If he was just stepped up, he could have avoided that whole thing. But Jordan Mailata got beat. But then he kept playing. He kept going. And I actually think he did a pretty good job for a guy that's never played football in his life. This guy is going to be on this roster at some point. I think he's got a lot of talent, a physical specimen, and they got to work with him. I think he's going to end up getting cut and being a practice squad guy where they're going to be able to give him another year to just work with him on fundamentals and things like that. But he showed me a lot. I really appreciate his effort for a guy that's never played. This is what frustrates me about Donnel Pumphrey, even though he can't help that he's injured, is that this guy that never played is out there and he's missing another game. So Jordan Mailata, man, you played really good. I was really proud, and I really liked what I see. And most of all, with him, I like his heart. He's a guy that never played, and he's out there giving it his best effort. So I got to tell you, I thought good things about him. So these are the guys I think that most people ask me about. If I'm missing, well, let's talk about Cameron Johnston for a second, the punter. I thought he had a good night. He had like some 80-something yard punt. I thought he did pretty good. I think he's winning the battle against himself. I think it's great. I think he's doing a great job. And I think right now, if he can continue to be consistent, because his problem is consistency, I think we're going to be okay. So with that, that's kind of my final thoughts on this first preseason game. The Eagles were back at practice today. Nick Foles was back. I heard Mike Wallace looked really good. They showed his deep speed, and that's a good thing. So let's see how things go, and let's hope that this Dallas Goedert situation isn't going to be as bad as we thought. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.